Well, I told you I wasn't sure what he'd be wearing, but he just came, and the Huskies, we lost to the Greyhounds, so yeah, that's a real bummer. This unified thing, I tell you what, is awesome. If you've not had a chance to come out and watch the unified football, basketball, and track teams, it's widespread all over the whole state now, and it's a really, really cool thing to be part of. Once again, welcome everyone. We welcome you to our 2024 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. This year we'll induct one team and 4 individuals. This is our 5th year, and like I said, Mr. Street kind of spearheaded this, put it together, got a committee together, and it's just been awesome. Once we're done, we do ask the nominees to make their way to the hallway back here. That's where our Hall of Fame Wall of Fame, I guess you could call it, is at, so we can take some pictures. You've been watching the video that's been continuous playing. We have pictures and videos. All the people come to basketball games just love stopping by and just kind of reminiscing about, let's face it, the Hall of Fame members, the people that are the Huskies, which is very, very cool. We would like to take this opportunity to throw out some thank yous real quick. We'd like to thank Berry.com. They are our exclusive sponsor for our Hall of Fame, our dinner, and our banquet. And we do appreciate them coming on board. It's been 2 years, Mitch? 2 years they've been with us. We do really, really appreciate that. Mrs. Lori Hippensteel, you saw her in the cafeteria. She goes above and beyond to make sure things are like they need to be for us here at the high school and putting this on. She had a couple young ladies from the student government in there helping her, Taylor Morrison and Hannah England. Do appreciate them. They such a great help. Also, Mr. Rodney Cummins. I think everybody enjoyed their lunch. And if you start to nod off during the ceremony this afternoon, I will make sure I wake you up one way or another. But we do thank Rodney. Some of you saw him on TV last night. Rodney's kind of famous with Dave Calabro. And Channel 13 has always really supported Hamilton Heights athletics. So we do thank Rodney. Mr. Rodney Freeman, Rodney's up above there doing all the IT work. Broadcasting this for us. We do appreciate him. Custodians here at the school for getting things set up. I think Derek said that Bruce Kaiser was the main focus of that, so we do thank Bruce for it. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our committee members. If you could stand up or wave or something. They put in a lot of time. It's tough when we get all these nominees, and everybody that's nominated is really deserving, and a lot of great athletes have come through this school, so we do appreciate the committee. Like I said, Mr. Mitch Street was kind of the one that headed it up. Mr. Chad Ballinger, I see, there he is, there's Chad. Mr. Kurt Ogden, Arnie Cooper, Mr. Mike Thomas, Dr. Derek Arrowood, our superintendent. Mrs. Ruth McKinney, she's back here in the back with Landy Lockwood sitting right there beside her. Mr. Bill Trackman, Mr. Jared Mason. I don't think Jared's with us today. I think he's at a college football game, if I remember right, and myself. So we do appreciate the committee members and all that they do for us. Once again, we do welcome you, and what a great day. It's pretty cool that we can take this opportunity to induct another class into the Hall of Fame. So deserving. Kind of the order of what we will do, we will have a short video clip on the nominees, and then I will introduce the speaker that will in turn introduce the inductee, and then we'll go through our list in that order. It's just great opportunity to do this, and I'm so thankful. I tell you, you see a lot of faces out here that I hadn't seen for a few years, and I'm not going to call out the one that said I was getting old in there. I got Mike back here raising his hand. Hey, it's all right. We're getting better. We're getting better. So without further ado, once again, thank you for being here. We're going to start off with our first video.
Tony, much more than athletic. Tony, much more than athletics, is a Hall of Famer for our community. He came back to be a principal here, superintendent. Beyond that, he became a state representative, that represented our community. So, I mean, this goes far beyond his athletic ability. And Tony was just like that. He was a mentor for me as one, and for several people. And I feel, his example was just to be a better person.
Well, I think as far as person, I've known him since kindergarten, so he's been a lifelong friend.
So with me, it's been a friendship for forever. I not only played on the same teams he did, but then I had the opportunity to work under him at the school when he was principal and superintendent. I think he was the best all-around player that I ever played with, high school or college. There's probably not any athletes like him now. He was a four-season athlete. He played football in the fall, then basketball in the winter, spring baseball, and then at that time the high school had a summer baseball program. So he was in season all 4 seasons, never had a time off.
I tackled him in the 7th grade, and it was just like Mike was saying. His competitiveness was ferocious as far as natural ability, natural athlete. He definitely exceeds beyond the definition of that. He was good.
Yeah, I don't know if people realize he was recruited by several Division I schools, but Carl Erskine's the one that swayed him to Anderson University to play baseball, and who wouldn't want to play baseball for Carl Erskine?
The only thing that you knew, if we got down ready to score on the football team, he was going to run the option, and he wasn't going to pitch the ball to the option guy. Because
he was going to score with it.
He was going to score the football, because he led the county in scoring that year.
I do remember one game that stands out. It was Noblesville, his senior year, my junior year. We had no business being on the same field with Noblesville. I mean, they were much more talented as a team, but it was stop Tony Cook. That was their goal, and they beat us by 6 points. I mean, they just about didn't stop Tony Cook. And at the end of the game, I'll never forget, Tony said he's never been hit harder or played as hard as he did that game. It meant a lot to all of us. I mean, I'll never forget walking off that field my junior year with this bunch of seniors that were awesome. I mean, and we darn near got it done. They just about didn't get it done. I mean, if Mike would have blocked a little harder, yeah, probably we'd have helped.
But another thing, too, if you ever go to the restaurant with that guy, you want to drive separate because he's talking to everybody in that restaurant. So everyone knew him and everyone respected him.
I just want to say that, the Hall of Fame's, in my opinion, is much more than athletics. And this is a guy that exemplifies what we want to honor in Hamilton Heights as a community, as an athletic community. I mean, he's the ultimate. He is the Hall of Fame member that should be recognized. Hopefully, he'll appreciate it too. I'm sure he will.
He had to behave too while he was at school since his mom worked there too. But other than that,
as you'll say, I didn't know if you wanted to mention his mother, but she was just such a great person to all of us also. Yeah. She kept Tony kind of on that straight line, as well as the rest of
us. Hey, Tony, just thought I'd congratulate you on your award. When Mr. Mason called and told me what it was about, I said, well, I don't know whether I want to do this because Tony's head's big enough the way it is. So, but he got a good laugh out of it, and I don't mean anything by that. So, congratulations, you're well deserving.
Yeah, Tony, congratulations. Well deserved. Thanks for all you've done for Hamilton Heights, and hopefully we can continue the legacy you've set. So, congratulations, Tony.
Congratulations, Tony, on this honor. It's quite a thing. We've had a lot of great athletes go through Hamilton Heights, and I think you're one of them, and this is most deserving. And I'm just glad to say that I'm a friend also. So congratulations.
Tony was unable to be here. He is in Colorado. His son Travis is getting married today, so that was kind of something Tony could miss. So we sure hate that he's not here, but he's off doing that. So at this time, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Dave Holloway.
Thank you. Is this on? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm again here today to honor Tony Cook, and I am honored. Tony's a dear friend of mine and was a teammate all through high school. I guess what I want to say about Tony's induction into the Hall of Fame was baseball. No one could throw the ball harder. Basketball, he was tenacious on defense and could score the basketball from anywhere on the floor. And in football, Tony hit you. I think Tom summed it up pretty much. When you went on the field with Tony Cook, you better be ready or he'll run over you. Just that simple. Not only has Tony accomplished things in high school as far as being inducted into this Hall of Fame, but Tony also had a tremendous college career. Tony went to Anderson, as I mentioned in the film, and played for the greatest pitcher ever, Carl Erskine, which was an honor in itself. Tony also was one touchdown from becoming a national champion in the NAIA division of football, which they were tremendous. They had an unbelievable team. So needless to say, Tony is very deserving. Aside all that, I wanted to mention Tony as a public servant. Tony started his career after Anderson College at Clinton Prairie. He spent a couple years there as a teacher and coach, finished his EDS degree at Purdue University, and was hired by Hamilton Heights as principal. Tony was a tremendous principal. Probably one of the greatest feats he accomplished was there was a young man named Ryan White that said he was coming to school at Hamilton Heights. Kokomo had already kicked him out. Tony said, if that boy wants to go to school, we will let him be at school at Hamilton Heights and be treated as a normal student. Because of Tony Cook, this young man lived a short life, but he did experience some normalcy to his life throughout his high school career. Thank you, Tony, for that. As well as being high school principal, our community allowed Noblesville to come in here and steal him for 10 years. He was principal at Noblesville, but his true love was still at Hamilton Heights, and he returned here to be superintendent. As superintendent, Tony did a lot of things that we still benefit from today. Now, Tony was stolen again from us by the Indiana Republican Party. They knew his ability and leadership, and they got him elected as a state representative. Again, as state representative, Tony Cook did a lot for our community. I'll let you look it up yourself to see the bills that he sponsored and co-sponsored and things that Tony did for us as Hamilton Heights and as our community. I can't go by, I can't let this opportunity pass without mentioning Tony's beautiful mother, who we all loved, who was secretary here at the high school. Not just kept Tony out of trouble, but she kept all of us out of trouble. She kept me out of trouble, and I thank her for that. And I'm going to mention Tony's father, too. Always said Tony had the heart of his mother and the drive of his dad. And those two were tremendous in support in Tony's accomplishments. And I'm sure Tony would want to thank all of you today for being here and for this great honor that you've given him. Thank you.
And now we'll be ready. We've got a video from Tony.
Good afternoon, Husky alumni, family, and supporters. I am thrilled and appreciative to be inducted today into the Hamilton Heights Hall of Fame. I want to thank the committee for selecting me for induction. I wish I could be there with you in person. However, my youngest son, Travis, is being married this weekend in his home in Colorado, which had been planned and invitations sent out 6 months ago. It's very special for me to be inducted today with the other celebrated inductees into the 5th Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2024. It's an honor that I cherish very much, and it is also special to be inducted today with the other 3 individual honored athletes because I was either their principal or superintendent while they were attending Hamilton Heights schools. Doubly awesome to have the 1970 team inducted today with me because I had the pleasure of playing in my senior year and most of my junior year with this talented group of individuals. I knew they were going to have tremendous team success. Several members of the 70s team actually played up with us as sophomores and contributed greatly to the success that I had as Player of the Year in Hamilton County and in the conference, and the 68 football team had as a group, as well as my basketball and baseball teams. Many of these 70s players also were multiple athletes and played on those baseball and basketball teams. I especially give a shout out to these 70 team members: Dale Myrose, Don Morgan, Kent House, Rick Nevitt, Don Leach, Cousin Gary Cook, Kevin Cruzan, Mike Moran, and Jim Simpson, who were all great players and contributed greatly to our team and individual successes that year. Most importantly, though, I also want to give a huge shout out to my senior football teammates: Mike Hilton, John Shelton, Terry Shirk, Claude Spurgeon, Roger Johnson, Dan Stover, and Nick Smeltzer. Both played on both sides of the line, and they were just tremendous. They opened up holes that I could run backwards through, or I would have never made 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards passing that year if it hadn't been for the tremendous blocking that I had up front and just basic team camaraderie. Also on that team that contributed greatly were juniors Dave Holloway, who also was best man in my wedding, Fred Conaway, Paul Russell, Spunk Starrett, Gary Pierce, Roger Rulin, Tom Anderson, and Big Jerry Brown. It was a pleasure to play with these good football players, and also a pleasure to play for the Indiana Hall of Fame coach, Jim Plummer, as his first varsity quarterback. I had the pleasure of attending and him introducing me also at the Hall of Fame banquet. In basketball, I had the pleasure again of playing with some very good players: Kent Carson, Jack Ryan, Rick McCoskey, Don Morgan, all who went on to play some basketball or baseball in college. And they made me work hard and effective to be a starter my last 2 years on basketball teams with them. Our knowledgeable coach at that time was Steve Redenbaugh, who was sixth man on a very famous IU team with the Van Arsdale twins and John McLaughlin, who all went on to the NBA. In baseball, we were very successful over a 4-year time span. Again, I must recognize the great players who backed me up as a starting pitcher from my freshman year on. Dave Holloway, a fellow pitcher, Rick Hancock, who also was a very effective pitcher, Don Morgan, Kent Carson, Mike Thomas, Jack Ryan, Greg Mitchell, Smoke Starrett, Dan Hampton, Andy Ilias, Dick, and Paul Russell. I mentioned them over the 4-year time period because they helped set a tone, too, for the baseball program. I also want to give a special shout out to Mike Thomas and Andy Ilias, who has passed away, and Greg Mitchell, who's also passed, and Dickie Russell. They were all great leaders that made freshmen like me really feel a part of the program, immediately accepted as a freshman coming in and being a part of their team. These quality coaches and players prepared me extremely well to be successful in college. I had the fortune of being inducted into 2 Hall of Fame team groups while I was also playing baseball for Carl Erskine, who was the Midwest regional scout for the Dodgers and a Dodger Hall of Famer himself. Mainly the reason I went there, so I could play baseball as well as football. I had some other groups in football offer me the opportunity. However, they did not want me to play baseball as a quarterback. I played there for Dick Young, who was a star quarterback himself at Wichita State, and had the fortune of going all the way to the national championship for small college playoff. Many people in the community, even this year, have commented to me that the athletic success of our teams from 65 to 70 brought our consolidated school together as one school, one fabric of Husky Nation. In closing, my positive school and sports career at Heights, coupled with the supportive, caring community that I experienced, many who came to many of my games in college, because of these excellent teachers, coaches, and community members I experienced at Hamilton Heights schools, I knew I wanted to teach and coach young people and work positively with parents and students to ensure they had a good school, academic and athletic environment, one in which they could flourish as individuals. It was a great choice for me and provided the opportunity to give back to the Heights community what it had given to me. Thank you all who made this outstanding weekend possible. First of all, Mitch Street and foremost. It was his vision that started this program, and he's done a tremendous job with this. The selection committee, Greg Knapp, our outstanding MC, who MCs most of the sports at Hamilton Heights, Kurt Ogden, and the athletic department, who always present the program with class and have done such a great job of featuring the Hall of Fame in their foyer in the north entrance. And especially I want to congratulate all the honored athletes today. Enjoy your day. You earned it, and you make us all very proud to be a part of the Husky Nation. Have a great day. Go Huskies.
Would like to say there are plaques up here, so Tony will keep that, make sure he gets his plaque when he does return to us. I was asked to introduce the 70 football team, and I guess if I'd look back, and I was young, yeah. But as a youngster, going to, my parents taking me to the games, man, it was exciting. It's kind of dark at the old field, the lighting, but boy, that Husky side was full. If you remember, a lot of you on the end zone, the Dad's Club was down there. Well, to say the least, the Dad's Club would probably not be invited to most games these days. People would take it a little personal, maybe. I don't know how to say it. They were our biggest fans, and this was at basketball and football. They were loud. They would yell continuously. The officials didn't really care for them at times, but they were always there. And for this 70 group, man, it was fun watching them. You didn't know what was going to happen, number one. But the one guarantee as a young kid, as I look back, that I probably took away from it was hard work. Hey, they played Franklin Central, Portland, Noblesville. I was trying to go back through and remember some of the teams, but that's back when there was no class sports. So you played everybody. You had to beat the best. And most of the time, we could beat the best. If not, they knew we were there. But the coach of the 70 team, Mr. Ted Huber, who is a Hall of Fame football coach in the state of Indiana, which is kind of cool. Perfect season, undefeated. I believe it was Portland, was it Portland who beat the last game? Yeah, it was Portland. To finish the season undefeated. There was no playoff system. So, you finished undefeated. We thought we were number one in the state, which deservingly so. They averaged 32.9 points a game offensively. On defensive side of the ball, they set a school record that still stands for allowing only 6 points a game. They are, once again, the only team to finish an undefeated season without the playoff system. I tried to, think about some of the other. Mr. Jenkins was one of the coaches. Of course, he coached me too, so that was progressing through time. But I guess as I remembered, our community was great. Super supportive of the teams back then, and that's the one thing that I can tell you to this day as I'm standing here. If you were at the homecoming game last night, man, our crowd, our bleachers were packed. Well, that's probably why we're putting new bleachers in next year. But you drive up to Logansport, and there's supposed to be a hurricane. It didn't bother the Husky fans. So one thing that over years has been consistent is the fan base that we have here at Hamilton. And Tony touched on some of that. It's just a great community. And the football team of 1970 proved that. And they played hard all the time. And for me as a youngster, it was a joy to be able to watch them. Right now, if the members of that team, if you guys would just stand up. Just stand up right now. Let's take a good look at these members of that 70 undefeated football team. I think I'd still go to battle with them. But no, we do. That is awesome, guys. I tell you what, that is so awesome. And you are so deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. It's you. And we so appreciate the opportunity we had to watch you. And we appreciate the fact that you're all here with your families today. At this time, I want to introduce Mr. Dale Myros. He's going to speak on behalf of that undefeated 1970 football team. Dale.
Thanks, Greg. How's everybody doing today? Good. Just in case, we haven't changed over the years. I'm number 11 in the picture, just so you got that straight. But I am honored to speak on behalf of the team. The turnout here is excellent, but that's because several people worked real hard to get many of the 1970 football team and family together, and they deserve mention. Don and Debbie Morgan, Mike Moran, Kelly Simpson, Jill Leach, Mike Jenkins, Mike and Jean Hilton, and Thurl Cecil. It's because of their diligence that we've got the number of people here to join in this celebration. We would also like to thank the Hamilton Heights Hall of Fame Committee and Mitch Street for the recognition of this team, which culminated some 54 years ago. Since this was a team, if you'll allow me a little extra effort, I want to add some context and a little background that some of you may not be aware of. Our 1971 class was the first class to go all the way from 7th grade through graduation in the Hamilton Heights school system. And so our journey, our football journey, actually started in 1965, and our football coach was Don Bockert. He taught us the rules and the basics of blocking and tackling. He led us to our first undefeated football season that year as 7th graders. And as was mentioned before, we would again have an undefeated football season as sophomores on the junior high varsity team. Jim Plummer was our head varsity coach for the 1968-69 seasons. He, along with assistant Terry Darnell And the assistant coaches that you see in our 70s team picture created the football tradition at Heights. The success of the 1970 football season would not have been possible without this winning foundation. I'm absolutely positive, as sure as I'm standing here, that the wins would have been less than 10 and the losses more than 0. There are 16 other young men not in this picture, but they deserve to be so. The freshman class in 1974. During the fall of 1970, they served as a practice squad, running opponent plays against the first-string varsity offenses and defenses. Truth be known, we called them the Hamburger Squad. This was obviously a growing experience for those young men, as they would be the seniors and nucleus of the 1973 team, the first football team in Hamilton County to qualify for the new state playoff system. They are not shown in the picture. They deserve to be named during this celebration, alphabetically. No, they're not alphabetical. I got it mixed up. Joe Day, Gary Brown, Mark Goodnight, Dave Green, the late Kevin Gullion, Pete Kerfoot, the late Mark LeMasters, Mike Morrow, Mike Purnell, the late Bruce Pickett, Dave Pickett, Ed Southern, the late John Shields, Bill Townsend, Mike Van Reenen, and Jess Weedman. I know a couple of them are here today. I'd like for us to give them a round of applause. To state the obvious, the 1970s were different than today. Not harder, not easier. Not better, not worse, just different. For context, the high school was in Arcadia, in the orange, yellow, tan, whatever you want to call it, building that still exists today. There were 4 other buildings in the school system. One right next to it, which was the building my grandmother graduated out of, Atlanta, one at Walnut Grove, and the last at Cicero. As many of you remember, we played in the field behind the high school. I think it'd be a stretch to call it a stadium. The only permanent structures there were the concession stand, the track that circled the field, the scoreboard, goalposts, and the lights. It was a field. Our school population was half of that of today's Hamilton Heights High School. Think about that. Our high school, our community high school, has grown twice in the last 54 years. In 1970, 1 of every 4 boys in the school was on the football team. We had 7 varsity sports for boys only. Only football and basketball had other than varsity teams. This is a far cry from the 19 sports, 29 teams that Heights has for both girls and boys today. Specific to football, there are different rules for blocking, tackling, pass defense, clock management, uniform colors, and numbering. We donned full pads and had scrimmage with full contact every single practice. There is no playoff system in football, as was stated, and there are no class divisions in any sport in Indiana. Not everyone got a trophy. I don't remember Mike Jenkins caring about my feelings. There was no targeting penalties, no soccer-style field goals or tries for points, no shotgun formation, no end zone celebrations, and no three-point shot. Oh, I'm sorry, Don. Every time you talk to Donnie Morgan, he still laments there's no three-point shot. The Hamilton Heights system, the merger of Jackson Central and Walnut Grove schools, was still relatively new in 1970. Our student body was still getting used to wearing orange, white, and brown and singing the fight song to the Minnesota Rouser. No show of hands, how many knew that the tune was the Minnesota Rouser? During our 4 years in high school, our athletic teams were in the Mid-Capital Conference, the White River Conference, and were in the process of transitioning to the Rangeline Conference in the spring of 1971. The football team had 3 different head coaches in 4 years. Big picture. Our country was still involved in Vietnam. Anti-war protests and riots were plentiful on college campuses. The Ohio Guard had just recently killed 4 protesters at Kent State University. Boys in our senior class were still subject to the draft. Richard Nixon was president. The Beatles disbanded. Apollo 13 mission moon landing famously aborted. The U.S. Congress had just lowered the voting age in federal elections to 18. In retrospect, there was still a lot to distract teenagers in the absence of cell phones, social media, streaming movies, and TV. That brings us to the 35 men in the picture over here. We were led by head coach Ted Huber, as has been previously mentioned. I'll give you the real story here in a minute. And he was ably assisted by the late Steve Nikos, Mike Jenkins, and Rich Christensen. Needless to say, each was a character in his own special way. Coach Nikos, an art teacher, was the outgoing, excitable, passionate orchestrator of our record-setting defense. He labeled us the Animals, and starting defense had a big white letter A on the front of our orange helmets. Standout defensive plays earned the stars you see displayed on in the helmets on the team picture. Coach Christensen, a math teacher with a fiery demeanor, did a great job of focusing and working with the underclassmen. Coach Jenkins, the analytical government and economics teacher, had the distinction of seeing only one of our 10 varsity games, the last one. Every other Friday evening during the season, Mike was at another high school game scouting our next opponent, something that very few teams did back in the day. We believe this provided us with an edge every time we stepped onto the field. Lastly, there's our head coach and history teacher, Ted Huber. Notice that there were no PE teachers among them. Wonder why. If you look up football basics in the dictionary, you'll find his picture there. His offensive philosophy was simple. A running attack was preferable to a passing one. When one passes, there are 3 possible outcomes, 2 of them are bad. His defensive philosophy was equally straightforward. If the other team doesn't score, you don't lose. Coach Huber is also known for making game adjustments while the game was in progress. So I'm going to build up this, and I'll give you 2 stories out of it since we're going to do a little build-up. The Friday before the season started, we had the Westfield Jamboree. And the Jamboree was where 4 schools came and played 2 quarters against a different school under game conditions. And so the 4 schools were Sheridan, Hamilton Southeastern, Westfield, and us. We played our 2 quarters against Westfield and Hamilton Southeastern, the first quarter being against Westfield, first drive. We predominantly ran to the right side, which always irritated myself, Mike Moran, and Dale Henshaw because we had to run to the other side of the field to get downfield blocks for everybody going around the right side. That's why the 3 of us were in better shape than Jim Simpson, Gary Cook, and Dale Thomas. In any event, we run a play, and Donnie Morgan goes around the right side for about 20 yards. Well, during the play, I run all the way across the field, and I level the defensive back there, and they throw a flag on me. We don't know why, but they just threw a flag on me. And so it's a 15-yard penalty negating Donnie's run. Huber from the sideline yells, "That's okay, Myros, do it again." So, next play. We give the ball to Kevin Cruzan. He runs around the right side. You know, Mike and I are beating it over to the other side, and I level the same kid again. Another flag. Another 15-yard penalty, so Kent's run gets nullified. Huber calls from the sideline, "Hey, Myros, don't do that again." One of the most excellent parts of coaching technique I've ever seen in my life. Well, this story does have a good ending because the third time Dale went down there, but he didn't hit the guy, and Kent House ran it for about 45 yards for a touchdown, making up all those penalty differences and all that. So we're going to line up for the extra point. Rick Nevitt was the long snapper, and I was the holder, and Donnie was the kicker. Don Morgan was probably one of the best high school place kickers I ever saw in my life. So what most of you may not know is that Donnie ran with these wussy soccer shoes when he played the game. But when he kicked, he needed to get a real football shoe on with a square toe. And so after every touchdown, Donnie would go get the shoe, change the shoe, come out there so he could kick the extra point or field goal or whatever we were going to do. First drive of the season, jamboree. So Dale gets down, Donnie's changing his shoe, and Rick hikes the ball. For every one of the 40 extra try kicks and one field goal attempt that Donnie did for the rest of the year, I never got down until Donnie changed his shoe because I was afraid Rick would hike the ball. I think one of the best indicators of this coaching staff's effectiveness was the fact that only one starter missed one game during the entire season, and that was due to a car accident and not a football-related one. The coaching staff believed in a level of conditioning to the extent that is seldom seen in any sport at any level of athletics today. There was never any opting out of the crunches and wind sprints. And if you didn't perform them to the coach's satisfaction or finished last during the wind sprints, you got extra reps and extra sprints. We played straight up, in-your-face football. T formation, 2 halfbacks, a fullback, and no wideouts. We had 6 running plays to the right and the same 6 running plays to the left. The only misdirection rush that we had was a tackle trap that Kevin Cruzan ran to perfection, with Gary Cook coming from his right tackle around the left side to clean up what Mike Moran and his left end didn't get. Usually happened once or twice a game and went for big gains. We had 4 pass plays to the right, 4 pass plays to the left. We didn't run a draw or have a screen pass in our playbook. There is no deception about our team. Our team statistics reflected domination. We gained an average of 380 yards a game, over 3/4 of them on the ground, as compared to 169 yards of our opponents. We had an average scoring margin of 33-6. We played a standard 6-2-3 defense with little variation other than when we stunted the linebackers. Our defense created 44 turnovers to the 17 given up by the offense. In 10 games, we allowed 0 points in the first quarter while scoring 91. That year, we played 3 county foes: Westfield, Hamilton Southeastern, and Sheridan. We beat them by a combined score of 110-14. Our individual stats were equally impressive. Don Morgan set the school record for points in a season at 143. Kent House led the county in over 1,100 yards rushing, and Kevin Cruzan was second, and Donnie was fifth. Jim Simpson led the team in county in tackles with 106. Mike Moran led the team in recovering 7 fumbles and creating a safety. Dale Thomas had 8 tackles for 5-yard losses or more. These numbers are impressive in any 10-game season in any era. I played competitive sports for 15 years, including being a member of a parachute team that won 2 national collegiate championships. I officiated high school, college, and NFL pro camps for 10 years. I've been on the field with some of the greatest athletes in this country. Many of them are pros or either in the NCAA Hall of Fame or the NFL Hall of Fame. But I can tell you that Tony Cook, Donnie Morgan, Jimmy Simpson, and Kevin Cruzan are among the best overall athletes I ever stepped on the field with. Tony and Donnie are obviously in the Hall of Fame, but many seem to have forgotten that Kevin Cruzan was the first Hamilton County high schooler to clear 14 feet in the pole vault, and Mike Jenkins caught the pole. He held the county and school records for some time. Institutions that fail to honor the legacy and the success of their past will fail to inspire the success of the future. The 1970 football team deserves to be among those who set a high standard, achieved it for success for our school and community. We have several of our members here today, and again, they've stood once. I'd like for them to stand again, please. That means get up, guys. Present here, we have seniors Don Morgan, Rick Nevitt. Juniors Mike Moran, Mike Tully, Jim Simpson, Dale Henshaw, Jeff Wall, Dean Shear. Sophomores Larry Tully, Kelly Simpson, Ron Pearson, Ray Roberts, and Tom Webb. I would ask you all to remain standing as we have 10 members who are not with us today. 10 people in the picture. And would you please cue there they are. I would like to say their names as we stand in tribute to them. Coach Steve Nikos, Bob Atkins, manager, Bill Brown, Mike Burkhart, Raymond Crail, Don Leach, Bill Osborne, Phil Pfeiffer, manager, Mitch Russell, and Dale Thomas. Men, please be seated. And we have folks who are representing those folks. Gary Brown is here on behalf of Bill. I believe Joel Nikos Woods is here for Coach Nikos. I haven't seen her. I assume Melanie Russell's here. I don't want to let her go without being named. And we appreciate all of your dedication, devotion, and we miss them greatly. Of the 15 players that we relied on heavily, 7 played both ways. But one of the keys to our durability that I previously cited was that 3 of our 10 sophomores on the team, Kelly Simpson, Larry Tully, and Ronnie Pearson, earned starting spots in the defense. Unlike other schools our size, that gave us a chance to rest key offensive players at what we now term to be skilled positions. We had 12 of those 15 players gain White River All-Conference recognition. Gary Cook was the only honoree for both offense and defense. Don Leach, Don Morgan, Kent House, Jim Simpson, Kevin Cruzan, Dale Henshaw, Mike Moran, Dale Thomas, Rick Nevitt, Larry Tully, and yours truly. 8, over half of our 15 starters made the Ledger's All-County team. Gary Cook, Don Morgan, Kent House, Jim Simpson, Don Leach, Dale Thomas, Kevin Cruzan, and yours truly. At a time when many have the attention span of a gnat and a memory of a goldfish, one never knows the value of an experience until it becomes a memory. Our sense of self-worth and bone-deep satisfaction is often forged in the common experiences that we share with others. In the fall of 1970, for 12 weeks, 45 teenagers from this community laced them up, strapped them on, and trusted each other to overcome all challenges. On November the 6th of that year, when the game clock showed 4 zeros in the fourth quarter and a score of Hamilton Heights 20, Portland 13, these young men proved that we knew how to win without tasting defeat. Could we have done the same in another time? The answer is no. Mike Moran may be able to get in a three-point stance, but he'll never get up. Rick Nevitt can't run as fast as he did. I don't think Ronnie Morgan can throw forward 5 yards, and for sure Jim Simpson couldn't make the tackles that he did. We were a team for our time. We remain the only undefeated football team in school history, a fact that those of us who are part of this accomplishment will treasure for a lifetime. As the shadows of our lives lengthen, We are humbled that the Hall of Fame committee chose to honor us with his incredible recognition.
I do have to apologize to you. I got a little excited when reminiscing about the team. The video was supposed to play, so guess what? Here it is now, the 1970 video.
At the beginning of the season, we felt we had a good horizon, but we didn't really know, and so we kind of took one game at a time. And after the first game, Coach Huber said, well, we can't lose them all. And so we went through the season like that, and everybody was committed to it, and it was really a commitment to try to do the best we can for our community. And as it turned out, that's the way it was.
We had a great group of coaches that lure these players in and get them calmed down and to get them to play, but they had a great group of boys.
From the player standpoint, we kind of knew we had a chance, and we had Franklin Central, who was a bigger school, and their quarterback ended up going to Purdue, Dan Smith. We knew if we could maybe win that first game, we had a chance to go 10-0. I mean, we were pretty good. You know, we had some guys that had a lot of belief in themselves, and you know, we took it for what it was worth. And when it got to the 0 at Portland, it was 10-0.
Oh, they had a good group, well-coached team. And I remember Ken Hallis playing fullback, and I will not want to tackle him. He was a monster. And they just had all-around excellent players that knew the game, and that makes a difference.
We had like 10 seniors, and we had 5 or 6 juniors. But I was thinking about today, one of the things that probably really got us over the hump was we had 4 sophomores, Kelly Simpson, Tom Webb, Ronnie Pearson, and Larry Tulloch. Those 4 kids made it possible that I didn't play defense and Ken House didn't play defense. So there, when you're 2 guys, main guys on offense, we didn't have to play the other half of the game, and that helped a lot. Most small school teams didn't have that luxury.
Yeah, small school.
And those sophomore kids, never mentioned about those kids, but they played a really key role in that, getting to that point.
We had 3 lettermen who were underclassmen. I think one was Mitch Russell, Mike Moran, who was a junior, I think, and Kevin Cruzan.
And Jim Simpson, too. Jim Simpson was Jim was maybe the best of all of them. Gary Cook was outstanding lineman both ways, offense and defense. Dale Thomas was offensive end, defensive end. Dale Myrose played wide receiver, and he went to the Air Force Academy. So, I mean, he was a little bit smarter than all the rest of us. Played leaps and bounds. Rick Nevitt played linebacker, played running back.
Well, we had, as a senior, Don Leach played.
Oh, Don Leach, yes, Don Leach.
At the end of the season, I think we were ranked number 19 out of the whole state.
In a single class system, it's all the big schools and the small schools, and I think that was great.
Biggest thing that I just wanted to mention, and I went back through, and I couldn't come up with the players that aren't with us anymore. We have 7 of those, and I just want to make sure, because I get all those listed because they all played parts. But Bobby Atkins was our manager. Bill Brown, and I think I'm right on Bill Brown. Yes. And Mike Burkhart passed away. He was one of the wide receivers. Raymond Crail, I didn't know that, but my wife told me that the other day. Don Leach a year or so ago. Dale a couple years ago, and then Mitch Russell. So those are 7 guys out of that group. We no longer have. So I just want to make sure that we are able to, honor those people as well, because they all played major parts. And so hopefully we can, like I said, get back with their families and, make sure they're contacted. I mean, there were just lots of guys. We only really had probably 15 or 16 guys that played most of the time. And like I said, we mentioned the sophomores. So I just thought in all these newspaper things, they had never been mentioned. And we just had guys that could play.
All right, and we'll now be ready for our next video of Tracey Money Million.
I had a daughter the same age as Tracey, and they were good friends growing up. And so I was around her quite a bit, and she was a good kid.
She was a nice person, very athletic, strong, mentally and physically. She went into things hard and didn't back away from people. At that time, we didn't have class sports. And so we played the Carmels and the Southeastern and the bigger schools. And so we would go in against those type of schools, and she didn't hesitate. She just went in and went hard, and she just didn't back down. She was a hard competitor. She was a good competitor.
And I also had the opportunity to umpire when she was pitching softball.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, and she could hum it in there, no doubt about it.
Most games that we played, she pitched 7 innings. If not, she just came out for like after the 6th inning. Most of the games, she went the duration, and that was unusual for a girl at that time frame to go the duration every game like that. But when we won the sectional, she made it happen. We won it in the bottom of the 7th on offense, not defense. But she, to get us to that point, she controlled that game.
She pitched all 3 games in the sectional. She beat Noblesville in the first game, and then Westfield and Southeastern on championship day to win the sectional. This will go off a little bit, but I remember when they won the sectional, what you did.
We don't have to go there. We don't have to go there, but that.
She did cartwheels all the way from home plate to first base.
All the way around. It was all the way around. Yeah, it was all the way around.
Because if they won the sectional, she would do that, and she stuck to her word. Well, she was just a good kid. She ran with a bunch of good kids. They were all high academically in their class, and she was right up there with all of them.
She was honest and trustworthy, and she was kind. She wasn't one of those people that thought she was so good that other people were beneath her. And that was attributed to her on the field and off the field to promote herself. She works uptown, and so when I even see her up there, she's just as kind as can be.
Yeah, because I stop in and talk to her once in a while in the office, and she's as friendly, and she hadn't changed a bit in all the years. Well, she was a 12-time letter winner. She won 4 in softball, 4 in basketball, and volleyball. Yeah, so she was just an all-around good athlete.
I mean, what more can you say? I mean, she was just really a good person, and her parents, held her accountable. Her parents were good people in that way, and, they kept her on track.
Tracey, when your husband came to me and asked me about nominating you, I said, sure, get me the information, because that's so long ago that I can't remember all the minute details, but you're very deserving of this, and I'm glad you're being inducted today.
Tracey, I want to wish you congratulations, and this is an honor. It's a really big deal, and I thoroughly enjoyed coaching you throughout the time that we had together, and I'm thankful for that opportunity. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best in everything you're doing now with your family. You're an awesome person, and I really count myself fortunate for having known you. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce to you Missy Muir. That's not why I did it, that.
It's all good. It's all good. I'll just take it off there to make it easier for everybody. Who would have thought 40 plus years ago that this Black Hawk would be here at a Husky event introducing this person for a very prestigious honor, I feel. I'm not much of a speaker, but to introduce her, I'm honored to be with all of you, and I've seen many faces here today that I'm so excited that I got to see today from years past. Because as athletes, we all know the people you competed against sometimes pushed you to be a better person. And as Coach Cornett said, besides being an exceptional athlete, she is an exceptional person. And I believe to be in the Hall of Fame isn't just about the individual, but the character that they present to you. Tracey was not just a leader on her team, but off the field as well. She was a multi-sport athlete competing in volleyball, basketball, and softball, but she excelled on that pitcher's mound. And behind the plate as well, there's a few opportunities, as Larry will attest, that the ball went over the fence while she was batting. Her unwavering work ethic and dedication took her to the top of the game. She pushed herself, pitching 100 pitches a day during the season, or during the off season, and I say during the season, probably more like 200 or 300 pitches a day. Her pitching style changed over the years, starting with the slingshot in the early days, but they pushed her to do the windmill so that she could pick up velocity and speed. Glenn Schrock came down to the ball field with his radar gun and clocked her fastball 70 to 75 miles an hour. And to put that into perspective for you, I did a little research online. And Monica Abbott, Team USA in 2012, the fastest clock pitch was 77 miles an hour. So to put that in perspective, she was at the top of her game. She also, as time went on, and as she switched and mastered that pitch, had 5 other pitches in her bag of tricks. And I say bag of tricks because I was the one on the other side of that. The movement and control she had of that ball was totally amazing. You had to be on your game to step to the plate to hit that ball. She was smart and calculating, just seeing where you stood in the box, a split-second decision, she could change that pitch that she needed to do to shut that batter down. We joke to this day that when she learned a new pitch, she waited for Sheridan to show up, for I was the guinea pig. I would say when she learned her change up, I came to that plate and she threw that ball. I could have swung 3 or 4 times before it came across, which I might have. I was going to say, but we still joke to this day that she executed that to perfection that day. And as you know, I walked away from the plate hanging my head, knowing that I could have worked, or I have work to do to the next time that I came at bat against her. Our friendship has grown over the years, as did our competitiveness, and she made me a better player and person. She raised the bar for every girl that played with her and against her. Oh, and the newspaper, when they previewed the sectional, every coach specifically said they didn't have anyone to match up with Tracey on the mound. They needed to catch a break some other way to be able to win those games. And that came out of Carmel and Noblesville. And as they said on the screen, you know, back then we had one division. We didn't have difference. So they thought they were the big dog until the Huskies showed up and won that sectional that year. And let's talk a little more about the fastball, because I was hit on more than one occasion. Maybe leaning in on occasion, because like they said, you had to come up with something else to beat that team. So the fun joke with my sister was, when you got hit with that 75-mile-an-hour fastball, you had the full indentation of that ball on your leg. And I'm talking seams and all. So I was going to say, and it hurt like the Dickens. It hurt like the Dickens. So she, sorry guys, I am totally off here. Again, Sheridan rival. Other side of the plate. Seriously looked to get an autograph on that thing, because battle wound scars, they said a lot when you were from another town. She never liked the attention. She just loved the competition and to throw that ball and to see what she could do to make it move. You didn't play softball in Hamilton County and not know the name Tracey Money in the 80s and 90s. When I came home from college, I coached 15 years of summer ball over there. And it always made my day when a young girl would say, I want to be a pitcher like that Money girl from Arcadia, from Heights. And then they would ask me, did you ever play with her? Because she was so awesome to watch. I said, yeah, I played against her, and she was super fast. I always told them to put in the work, and they could be just like her someday. She encouraged and motivated a new generation of young girls to go after their dreams. A couple of those girls went on to win sectionals at Sheridan, and it was all done by a small seed that was planted by Tracey. As we were rivals for most of our careers, I had the opportunity to join her at the age of 15, and we traveled lots of miles in states and played tournaments together. Poor Larry and Nina didn't know what they were getting into when I joined that team. Lots of stories and life lessons were learned with them, and they are such amazing people that raised such an amazing daughter. We went on to Kentucky State University and played softball together and finished our careers there. And when Tracey told me about this award that she was being honored with, I was super excited for her. I don't know a more deserving individual for what she did for Hamilton Heights or the softball program here or across the county. In true Tracey fashion, she said, there are just so many more deserving people out there. Never wanting the attention then and never wanting it now. Well, Tracey, we all disagree. I'm truly honored today to introduce to you your next Hall of Fame inductee, my friend, Tracey Money Million. I'll just hand this to you.
Thank you for the honor. I appreciate it. I had teams backing me. It was all about the teams. But thank you to my mom and dad as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2024 inductee Tracey Money Million.
When I think of Zack Bardonner, besides being just a great kid and a kind of a humble young man, he was a once-in-a-lifetime sprinter. It just stands out. I've never seen anyone like him on a track. It was like he was shot out of a gun. And it was a special few years when he was running for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a little different perspective because I kind of grew up more so with Zack. I think we became really pretty good friends about that 5th grade mark. We were allowed to run track in the 5th grade, and from that point on, he was challenging kids much, much older even then. So we all kind of knew when we were younger, when you play football on the playground, when that kid just can't be caught, there's something different about him. So yeah, he evolved into definitely a once-in-a-lifetime sprinter for our school and really in our area.
I remember his freshman year. I was the distance coach, but Coach Reeves and I worked closely together. And I knew Chuck was excited that this kid was on the track team, and in high school he just focused on track. And then as a sophomore, we had a lot of speed on the team. You were in the 4x4, but we had a 4x1 team that was pretty good, and we got to the state meet and medaled. Zack's sophomore year, he was anchor. We had other really fast guys on that team. We had a lot of good guys.
We had a great team.
We had a really good 4x4 team, but he was kind of the straw that stirred the drink at a lot of things on the track program.
Absolutely. For a small school, we all had, I think, a wide scope of friends, but I think he had the love of a lot of people that just kind of opened his arms to people. So that was my perspective of him as a person.
I gotta tell this story because it's one that just sticks with me. We'd go down to that county meet, and Carmel was one of the top teams in the state, and Noblesville was fantastic, and Carmel had won the county for about 20 years in a row, and it comes down to the last event, the 4x4 relay. And the famous coach, Chuck Keppen from Carmel, was like, hey, I think we can win this 4x4, but Noblesville's got to get third. You guys, someone has to get second, or we're going to lose county for the first time in 20 years or something. And he knew we had Zack on the end, and you were on that 4x4 with some other guy, Sean Davis, I think, and Zack was on the anchor leg, and he gets it, and he's going against some of the best 400 guys in the state, and he just shoots out, and on the back stretch, Coach Reeves and I are running back and forth, he passes the Noblesville kids. And he's coming around, he's gaining on the Carmel kid, who's one of the best 400-meter guys in the state. And he gets within a step or two of beating the Carmel kid. And then Carmel wouldn't have won because they would have been second. Coach Keppen ran up to him, the Carmel coach, and congratulated him. And I remember, kind of gently though, Zack kind of pushed him away. And for years, Coach Keppen talked about it. He goes, but I get it, I love that. He's a competitor. He wanted to win the whole darn race. And to this day, the Hall of Fame Carmel coach, whenever Chuck Reeves or I see him, whenever we see him, he said, remember that Zack Bardonner race at the county meet?
Yeah, I remember that race. If we would have just ran a little bit faster before him, he would have won that race. So that's all.
It was unbelievable.
If only we would have. He's here for the Hall of Fame because of track, and he truly deserves it. He could have been in the Hall of Fame years ago because he still holds records at the junior high level, at the high school level, and they're records that are very difficult to break. He stepped into the 400 and broke the 400 record, and it's crazy, almost unattainable. And we're in what, 48, 49? So it's just, he's got, as far as a track sprinter, for anybody at Heights to want to attain, to be excellent, you would want to, if you could get film, if you could get tape and see the sprinter that he was, and then you could just listen to some of the stories about the person that he was, I think that that's the kind of sprinter, athlete, community leader that you want. For our school, groundbreaking that we had almost never been to that moment. We'd had runners to go to that state meet and compete really, really well. But now we had, I mean, it came down to the wire.
Yeah, it was a couple hundredths of a second, and once in a lifetime runner, and also a special relationship. Coach Reeves and Zack, it was the right pairing at the right time. And a lot of times I would sit back and just watch kind of in amazement at how special he was. He's the most special sprinter from any school that I've seen in 30-some years of coaching at Hamilton Heights.
Zack, I'd like to say a personal congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor and you definitely deserve it. You are an amazing talent that we were all very lucky to be a part of, and thank you for welcoming us and being there and for us to be a part of it. We thank you as our class and as a good friend. Congratulations, and I hope everything's going well in your future and in your present, and congratulations.
Zack, what an honor. What an honor to giving us the opportunity. You getting in the Hall of Fame gives us an opportunity to go down memory lane and think of all the special races you had, all the special times, and it's just an honor to be here, and I'm proud of you. You're so deserving of being in the Hall of Fame, and just want you to know that it's an honor well deserved, and can't wait to see you get back to Hamilton Heights and accept this honor.
Introduce to you Mr. Chuck Reeves.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees to this year's class. I was fortunate to see several of you play in your days. I walked past this picture thousands of times and heard all the good stories and stuff. So I want to congratulate you. I think it's awesome that we have this Hall of Fame that we can remember and honor. Man, that film cracked me up. That we can honor our outstanding athletes. To the committee, with so many sports over so many years, I know it's difficult to get a good balance of males and females and present and from the present and past. And you guys do a great job, and I thank you for that. When they first announced they were creating this Hall of Fame, Coach Trackman and I started jagging, that's what we do, about who we thought should be inducted into the Hall of Fame from athletes that we had coached. And I'm pretty sure Zack was one of the first names on both of our lists. That from the stories you heard about him and stuff, that obviously he was a special guy. He was competitive, confident, wasn't overly boastful. I mean, he wasn't like the Olympic guys where they're out there pounding their chests and all that stuff. He didn't need to do that. He just trained hard, showed up, got through his warm-up, and went out and ran. And when he got in the blocks, he got out and run, and you just watch. It was just a joy to watch him run. In my move to South Carolina, I found an old briefcase with stuff full of newspaper articles from back in the day. And it was really fun reliving some of those times. I think I got a couple hundred pictures of athletes and fellow coaches from those days. And I concluded that if I had to put together a display for Zack Bardonner Museum, I got plenty of material. It was pretty awesome. One last story. We were at the regional Zack senior year, and Coach Payline, the coach from Purdue, came over and was talking to Coach Trackman and I, and telling us about, Zack's the real deal now. He goes, and when you get down to the state meet, there's going to be a whole bunch of college coaches hanging around you guys down there. So we go down to the state meet. We start out, he runs 200 trials, just cruise through the 200 trials. Then he had to go out and run the 400, they run the 400. It's three heats, and they're timed, and they just place you based on time. He won the regional pretty easily, but his time at the regional wasn't fast enough to get him. He got him in the slow heat, so he ran in the slow heat, and he got in there and he started running, and he just cruised through the first couple hundred meters. And then as he starts coming out of the corner, going down the front straightaway, he just started pulling away from the field. And it reminded me like a secretariat running the Derby, man. He's just pulled away and smoked the field, and ended up with the third fastest time overall for the whole night. Coaching point number one, get in the fast heat. I think had Zack been in the fast heat, he probably would have beat those guys. I mean, he was a competitor, could have beat him. So we should have worked a little harder to get him in the fast heat. I learned that. But then after the 400, then he got into the 200 finals. He led like the first 199 meters of the 200, and he gets out-leaned by a kid from Lawrence Central right at the line. And you see it happen sometimes, and coaching point number two is work on your finishes a little better before you go to the state meet. So I think a couple of things there, we could have got him a couple of first place finishes, but he was a great kid. The cool part of the story though is Coach Payline was right. It wasn't long before we were surrounded by track coaches from IU, University of Indiana, or University of Indianapolis, Ball State, Indiana State. All these guys are standing around talking to us, giving us their business cards. And Zack looks at me, he goes, "Coach, can you talk to these guys? I need to go see my parents." And he just walks off and leaves me there. And I said, at that time, Zack has his priorities straight. He's a great kid from a great family, and I was blessed to be a small part of it. When I called Zack to talk to him, I don't think he likes to speak in front of people any more than I do, but he asked if he had to say something. I told him, since we're honoring you, it's up to you, but you can say as little or much as you want to. So congratulations, Zack Bardonner.
Well, like you said, I'm not a public speaker at all. And when it comes to my accolades with track and field, anytime anybody brought it up, I'd back away. I didn't really care. I'm like Tracey, I just wanted to go out and compete, beat up the Noblesvilles and the Carmels and the North Centrals and all the bigger schools and show them what like a little country school can do. But it's a real honor to be honored, recognized by a community like you guys. A community that still prays before a meal. A community that when a child is sick in the community, they have a prayer vigil and recognize that, God's the only answer. And it just means a lot because you don't see that a lot these days. And I think you guys should be proud of being part of a community like this. So it means a lot that you guys voted me in. Appreciate Coach Reeves. You did a lot for me. Invited me into your house when I was struggling with grades and whatnot. You got your own family to take care of, but you spent a lot of time trying to help me. Where's Trackman at? Trackman, you were a big help as well, getting your family to open their home when I was at Purdue, struggling with school. I wasn't a academic person, so that didn't work out for me. But I want to thank my wife Leslie, my 2 kids, for supporting me. Mom, you can go ahead and stand up with Dad. She won the award many times for having the loudest mouth. I did, yeah. I couldn't have a better supporter. And just one last thing real quick, since I'm up here, it's Bardonner, not Bardonner. So just clear that up.
Zach, I don't know what to say now, but we got to continue with the rest of the ceremony. I'm sorry, but yeah. That's why he's such a great guy right there. Thank you. Now we're ready for our next video of Austin Etherington.
Just to talk about Austin real quick, I mean, he was a fierce competitor, that's for sure. Always wanted to win. Growing up with him, it was that way no matter if it was basketball, football, baseball. He had such a big knee injury, and it wasn't just his first, he had multiple after, but it just talks to, how tough he is and wanted to get back to where he was. And, he always pushed himself to hit, what his goals were.
It reflects toughness as well as work ethic. He was always in the gym, he was always in the weight room, making himself available to get back as quickly as possible. Very religious with his rehab and those kinds of things, all, kind of showing his desire not only for personal gain, but to be there for us as well. Collectively, our group was just a close group, and Austin was kind of the leader of that. Spent a lot of time, together off the court. I also think, the classroom was something that we all took a focus in and tried to do well in school and knew that would set us up for success. There's plenty of good stories from running to Applebee's after games or traveling to the Heights football games together. We were an inseparable group, which I think helped us quite a bit on the court and kind of knowing one another on and off the court.
I think we probably both think of the Peru game as one of the big ones. We needed to win that game in order to clinch a share of the conference title. That was the game that Alex got undercut and got hurt. So there's obviously a lot of emotion going through that game. Austin probably could have gone a different direction that game and got caught up in the emotion with his brother in the situation, right? But he stayed true, stayed focused to himself and to the team, and it was only right that I guess he hit that game winner for that to come down for the win. So that's the game that definitely sticks out for me.
Yeah, and I echo that. I think if I remember right, we were down about 10 points heading into the fourth quarter of that game, and it had been a ruthless environment to say the least, but we built our way back. Austin was a huge part of that. Played one of the best fourth quarters I think probably you could have. I can't remember if we were down 1 or if we were tied, but you could see it in Austin's eyes and in the huddle that nobody was stopping him from making that bucket. And unfortunate that we didn't have more sectional championships or go further, but I think that was a testament to Austin. Kind of keeping his head in that situation. That was one of the big things we won collectively as a group.
Yeah, another game that I was trying to think about this throughout the day today, just you kind of remember certain moments or whatever, but we didn't end up winning the game, but I remember playing at Hinkle Fieldhouse against Mount Vernon, which they went to either regional or semi-state that year. Really good team, had 3 or 4 Division I players, and I remember we had a set play. It was at the early in the game, maybe first minute or 2 into the game, where we ran a backdoor for Austin. I passed it to him, he went up and dunked it, and maybe got fouled on the dunk as well. But we didn't end up winning the game, but it was just a pretty cool moment. You know, you don't get too many opportunities to play at a place like Hinkle.
Yeah, I still remember Northwestern. He asked for an alley-oop. We were playing terrible basketball at the time. I'm taking the ball out, and he points up to the rim, and I'm like, if I do not throw a good pass here, I am not playing the rest of the game. It was pretty much bound and determined at that point, but probably the best pass I've ever thrown in my life, and it really turned the game around for us. So, you know, really speaking to his basketball IQ, he knew, you know, when he needed to take over, and, you know, also saw things on the floor that sometimes we didn't see. He went to IU originally, ended up going to Butler, which was awesome for me. You know, I'm a huge Butler fan. We go to a lot of games, so it was a lot of fun to, you know, be able to see him be a part of that team. Some very good Butler teams, you know, at that time, and really kind of watch him at that next level. And again, he was, you know, finding ways to contribute, and I think that again just kind of speaks to that basketball IQ that he had, and doing the little things at the collegiate level to, you know, get on the floor and help his team.
I do remember going to watch him play. I think it might have been senior night at Butler, and he had probably one of his best career games. Had 4 or 5 threes that game and close to 20 points. As you kind of step away from high school and you kind of see one of your friends do, you know, whether it's that game or just his entire career, man, you can't think of anything other than being proud for him.
Congrats, E. Huge accomplishment and very well deserved. You know, you made all of us better around us. We had a blast playing with you, and I think most importantly, we were all friends, you know, on the court through high school years, and remain friends today. Again, great basketball player, but even better person. And I really want to congratulate you. This is an honor and privilege to call you still a friend of mine.
Austin, congratulations on the Hall of Fame, man. It's well deserved. You know, watching and growing up with you has been an honor and a privilege to be there and kind of watch you grow into the player and the person you become today. You know, it's been 20 plus years of friendship, and hopefully, obviously, a lot longer than that. You know, basketball tied us together early on in age, and it's kind of why we're here today, is to kind of represent you and your career here at Heights through basketball. So it's much deserved, and excited for you to finally get into the Hall of Fame, and you know, can't wait to celebrate you later this fall.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Chad Ballinger.
Thanks. I'd like to congrats all the nominees today, too, as well. I'm proud to introduce Austin Etherington as our only men's basketball Indiana All-Star into the Hamilton Heights Athletic Hall of Fame. When I think of Austin, I think of a high academic, a competitor, an unbelievable work ethic, a gym rat, a brotherly love, and team friendship. High academic. Austin worked his tail off in school. It was very important to him, and he proved that as well, getting his college degrees. As a competitor, he was the guy that a lot of opposing teams disliked. He had a target on his back every time he took the floor. He didn't want to make friends on the court. He wanted to win. He was that way in practice as well. He didn't handle losing well, whether it was practice, games, or whatever it was. His work ethic and gym rat. Austin was constantly working on his game. Workouts with his dad and brothers, workouts with his trainers, workouts with AAU teams, and all of our high school stuff. He never got enough gym time. He was notorious for finding a way to sneak into our gym late at night and get shots up. He would prop doors open. He would drive by at night. He'd find a way to get in here. He was constantly working on his game. His brotherly love. Yes, there are some really good stories out there about Austin and Alex at practice and some games. Those can be shared at another time. But I watched Austin take care of Alex. He looked after him. He would watch all of his games at team camp so they could eat dinner together after their games. Not many high school kids would stick around like that when all of his friends were gone back to the dorms. Austin would stay by himself and watch Alex. Watching Austin run in to support Alex, Ben Bowen mentioned our Peru game when Alex got undercut. Austin handled extremely well. He went to his side. He could have taken everybody out on that team, but he held his composure. He stayed at the game even though Alex was left in an ambulance. Austin stayed and took over the game. Unbelievable performance. We were down 10, we came back. Nobody was touching the ball. Austin hits the game winner for us to win us that conference championship. His team friendship. Austin's class were super close. They still are. I caught them numerous times in my yard late at night or knocking on my door, or my neighbors calling me saying, hey, you got a group of kids out there in masks around your house. I'm calling the police. I'd be like, no, that's my team. Don't call the police on them. But that means a lot. No matter how much they were pushed, each other fought to win at practice. When practice was over, they all left together. They went to somebody's house. My wife and I still talk about that group of guys and how close they were in high school. It was a special group. Austin could have very easily had that attitude that I'm better than these guys, went off with some of his high-profile AAU teammates or friends from other schools, but he stayed loyal to his Heights teammates and friends, and that continues today. Some other quick facts. Austin only played in 58 high school career games. That's crazy to think about. His knee injuries really affected him. I really believe if Austin would have had healthy knees, he would have played in the NBA. I do believe that. He went through so much adversity with his knees and his surgery, but he worked his tail off to always come back. Those 58 games, he's one of our all-time leading scorers. Some of our leaders have played in 88 or 90 games, and he did it all in 58. In his junior year, we took a fall trip to IU. I took our basketball team. We went to an IU-Purdue football game. We were tailgating. Kurt Bolden invited us over. We had our whole team. We're eating. And all of a sudden, this whole open field starts chanting, Austin, Etherington, Austin, Etherington, Austin, Etherington. And it hit me right there. This kid is well known throughout the state of Indiana and other places, not in just the Heights area. Social media was just kind of coming into play at that time, but that was a wow factor, like Austin made it to the big time. All the college coaches that came in through the gym, we had Tennessee, we had Xavier, Coach Mack offering his first scholarship, Notre Dame, Purdue, IU bringing their whole staff to watch, Butler, Brad Stevens was constantly knocking on our door. That was fun for me, but I know it's extremely fun for Austin to be wanted by all those people. I would take Austin to the open gyms at IU and Butler and watch him compete. That was fun for me as a coach to watch. The drives there and talking to him, he was very mature for his age. He just didn't act like a high school teenager. College coaches would call me all the time and say how impressed they were at how he could handle and talk with adults. He was such a mature person. Watching Austin live at IU, they beat Wisconsin at Assembly Hall when they were undefeated and the kids storming the court. That was a fun experience. Watching Austin on senior day, as Ben mentioned, at Heckle Fieldhouse, I got to be there. I got to see him light up the scoreboard. They got the win. That was kind of icing on the cake for me to watch him finish his career. I was extremely proud of him for that. It was a joy to watch his success in basketball career over the years from high school to college. It has been a joy to watch him have success in career as family. He wasn't only successful in basketball, he's successful in life. I'm proud to introduce Austin Etherington into the Hamilton Heights Hall of Fame. Come on up, Austin.
Hey everyone. I just take this off. I just want to thank a couple people. Obviously, my parents. They were very impactful for me growing up. I remember a story with Dad actually that I was probably in the 5th or 6th grade, and he asked me. He said, do you want to play college basketball? And I said, yeah. And he kind of looked at me, he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, why? He goes, well, I'm going to be hard on you, and I'm going to push you to be there. And I'll never forget that, because if it wasn't for them pushing me, probably wouldn't be have the career that I did today, because I probably would have just been a normal high school kid. And just, you know, at the time, like Coach was saying, social media was becoming a thing. And, you know, kids today are different than, you know, especially talking about the 70s team, right? So another thanks, I want to go out to my grandma and grandpa and my grandma Carol. My grandma and grandpa have probably been to 300 games. I never forget playing up at Minnesota, and it brings up Minnesota because you brought it up. I remember my first time playing at the barn, and I look over at Cody Zeller, and I was like, hey, dude, this is my high school fight song. And he just looked at me like, dude, I really don't care. But it was the first time that I heard that, and I was like, I didn't know that, so fun fact. But my grandma and grandpa came up, and they are actually traveling to, I think, Alex's game back here. So they went up there and they drove back, but they've probably been to 300 games and put 200 plus, probably more than that, miles on their truck. And so I always appreciate that. Coach Ballinger, obviously, I mean, you heard what he said, and he, you know, was very impactful. You know, we had a very good team, but he kept pushing me to, you know, stay focused and to lead the team and to do the things I need to do. Also breaking into the gym. I'm sure Mitch has fixed the door, but that door over there used to be a little loose, and I would pull it open and break it, get in this place. So, but yeah, my wife and daughter back there in the back, I wish they would have been able to see me play more. Actually, that senior night game was right when me and my wife first started kind of dating, and so she was at that game, so she takes all the credit for that. I think the biggest thing, and this is what I'll end it on, is that team, that 2011 class. We had 9 seniors, and that group was just different. We were different. We were unlike any other high school group. Obviously, this football team here, you guys have a very special bond, and I think that I would compare that to what we had in that 2011 group. It was a bunch of guys still to this day that we are very close. Heck, we have a fantasy football that's been going on since we graduated, almost 15 years, that it just keeps us connected. And then one last thing that I'll talk about, Ben Bowen, who was up there on that screen. So Ben has made the craziest shot in this gym that you could ever imagine. He literally bounced right there at the volleyball line, right in front of the basket, bounced the ball off the ground, went up, and it went in. Now, he didn't do it on purpose, but still, it was one of the craziest things. So, again, congrats to everyone else. It truly is an honor, and, you know, thanks to everyone else. So, appreciate it.
Okay, sorry for my dress here. I appreciate you being flexible with me today, and this is incredibly important to me. I'm proud of what we've put together here, but that's important to me too, and so I appreciate you guys understanding that. I did have just a few things. I'm going to let Greg wrap us up here. You do have little placards that you guys will get today. It's very minor and that type of thing, but next year, around this time in the fall, we will recognize a new class. And the displays out there will be yours to have as your permanent kind of gift or award or whatever for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So you do have to wait a little bit of time for that. I think those are pretty cool. You'll see those here in just a few minutes. But on behalf of the committee, congratulations. I think this is an awesome class. Each year, it's incredibly fun for me. I'm not a Heights guy necessarily. I've been here for 17 years, but so longer than I was at my high school, but regardless, it's been really cool to get into history and learn things, and couldn't be happier with the class we put together this year. So congratulations. After we break here, after Greg finishes up, if we could have the inductees and families and so forth gather over here, this will be where your displays are at. I would like to take pictures just for our sake, and then Donnie Morgan, I've got flowers over here. I'm going to let you guys, you and Dale, you guys can hand those out to those individuals. I'm sorry I didn't have them out here earlier, but we have those for you too. So I'll let you guys have that. All right. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a day. One last opportunity. Let's recognize Tony, Tracey, Zack, Austin, and the 1970 team in a good old Husky fashion way. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and let's make some noise for our 2024 inductees. We are so very, very proud of all of you. You deserve it. You accomplished it. You were an example then, and you're an example now to this amazing Hamilton Heights community, so we do commend you for that. Once again, Mitch mentioned we'll get some pictures out here. We are so happy that you all made it here today. Please have a safe trip home. Mingle around, enjoy. Congratulations. Thank you.